Welcome, welcome, welcome to your Six Nations GreatDrams tasting pack. You should have all received one of these guys. And when you open it up, here they are. Hurrah. And so this is the set that includes your 6 whiskies, one for each country. And I'm going to talk you through them right now. So I'm going to start with one that's not actually been released yet. It is a new GreatDrams release, which is going to come out in about mid-March. So you guys are the very, very first people to be trying this. And on the back of that, if you did want to pre-order, oh yeah, obviously you got to have a sales thing in. Use the code 6Nations, as in the number 6 nations, all one word, on the website, and it will give you a discount on the bottles, and they'll be shipped as soon as they're released. Before I go into the detail though, it is 6 Nations time. 5 rounds, no margin for error. This tournament rewards calm heads, smart decisions, and taking chances when they appear. And the same logic applies to whiskey. You do not rush it, you respect the structure, you enjoy the moments that stand out. And so with this set that you're about to go through, at your own leisure, obviously, we're pairing rugby with the right drams, different styles, different strengths, but one clear winner in the glass: whiskey and you. Well, me right now, but you when you get to try this. So let's get started. So as I said, this is a GreatDrams release, and this is the English whiskey. We released an English whiskey about 3 years ago, maybe a bit longer actually. And it took home gold at the IWSC, scoring 95 out of 100 points. You're always upset losing 5 points. Don't get me wrong, I was upset. But at the same time, it's a pretty decent score. Matured in a PX sherry cask. The one you're trying is actually the older brother or sister to that cask. So it's 11 years old, derived from the exact same set of barrels and casks. We loved the first one so much, we ended up buying the entire batch of them to mature through. So this one will carry the awards as well, as they're linked. And this one, only 200 bottles will be produced for the 2026 batch. And yeah, as I said, they're coming out mid-March. PX, Pedro Jimenez, sweet sherry cask matured. So, oh man, on that nose, you have that glorious kind of treacly winter spice and fruit note. Oh, you have that lovely kind of sherry character coming through. My mouth actually mouth watering as I'm nosing it. I'm a big fan of this. I think it's one of the best whiskies we've ever released as a company. Definitely one of my favorites. From the last batch, I kept the last few bottles for quality control because I just didn't want to ever be without it. There is a nice sweetness there. There's a smoothness. There's a vibrancy coming through as well. Wow, that carries through on the palate. Big flavour, big power, bottled at 48.2% ABV. Oh my God, does it deliver. Now, if you're watching this before trying, which you may do, and don't worry if you're not, you can do it after the first whiskey anyway. What I'd implore you to do is put a glass right up to the bridge of your nose, breathe all the way in through your nose, it'll start to sting and that's totally fine. And breathe out all the way through your mouth, then take one sip, swallow it, forget about it, now nose it again. And you'll notice a hell of a lot more flavour coming through. And that's quite deliberate. We're not going to do it for every single whiskey, don't worry. You can if you want, especially if you're doing these at different times throughout the tournament. You are not obligated to do them all in one go. Let's be really clear, drink responsibly. But the idea is to essentially reset your nose and palate against whatever you've been consuming through the day. Because I'm assuming you're either having this in the afternoon with one of the matches or in the evening potentially. So it just resets everything. I probably should have done it at the beginning, but if I'm really honest, I was too excited as soon as this was in the glass to dive in. Now, England as a team, they win games through control, territory, pressure. When England get momentum, they just squeeze you dry. So this team rewards patience, and flash rarely wins titles, as we all know. But when it comes to this whiskey, it calls for structure, balance, a dram with discipline. And the reason I mention that is that this one we could have kept bottling at the same 7-year-old age profile that we did last time. But the reality is that having spent the first 4 years of its maturation in a first fill ex bourbon cask, when it had already had 3 years of PX, and then we sampled it again at 5 years of PX sherry cask, so it's at the 9 mark, we felt, let's just pump it, let's see how far we can go with it. And I think it's come out spectacularly well, personally. Really enjoy it, but it is building on that patience, that build-up play from rugby, but that build-up flavour profile from whiskey, coming together, merging those two worlds, and it works quite nicely. So, cheers to the first whiskey. Hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to email me any feedback. Remember, it will be as a pre-order on the website by the time you see this. I was supposed to make that live today. I haven't quite got there yet, but I will do. Right. Feel free to stop here or carry on straight through. Totally your shout. The next one we're going to do is Ireland, represented by Jameson, but not your normal Jameson. This is Reserve Series Distiller's Batch. So this one bottled at 46% ABV, and just like the Irish rugby team, it sets the benchmark for cohesion as a brand. You know, every role matters within this blend, and this is a blend of 5 different types of casks coming together. Every single one works, like every single player on the pitch for Ireland work together, and they punish mistakes ruthlessly, just as you would be able to call out something that wasn't right in this if it wasn't balanced properly by those absolute gems over at IDL, who produce these wonderful, wonderful whiskies, especially Kevin O'Gorman and Dave McCabe over there, who are rocking it as Master Blender and the Apprentice Master Blender. So this one I'm obviously a massive fan of, that's why we're doing it here today. But 5 casks, including ex-bourbon, ex-Oloroso sherry cask. So that's not the sweet sherry cask from the first whiskey, which was the English. This is the more kind of savoury Oloroso, but should still bring a sweetness. It's how it interacts with the wood, does often bring a sweetness through. And then they've combined that with virgin oak, so that's first fill, very, very fresh oak, in the form of American, European, and fresh Irish oak, which is a bit bonkers in its own right, which is pretty cool. So yeah, precision wins, layers matter, and nothing out of place in this blend, as with the form and the absolute trajectory of that Irish team when they hit that pitch and it's game time. Wowzers. So on the nose, personally, I'm getting that kind of lovely sweetness coming through, but then a note that you may think you're mental until you try it, and try and nose it and then try the actual whiskey itself, but a fresh pencil shaving note coming through as well. What? Seriously. So if you remember back at school when you had sharpeners and pencils and stuff, it's a very distinct flavour that came off of those, and that's what I'm getting in here. And you often get that with virgin oak casks. So this having 3 different types of virgin oak casks, I'm not surprised, but at the same time, it's quite a big note for me. There's a lovely citrusy note there, gorgeous vanilla note as well. Still, it has that lovely sweetness, like the burnt sugar on a creme brulee coming through. Oh, that's good, isn't it? Wowzers. Oh, I really like that. That is smooth yet complicated, layered of flavour, layered of just experience, and you've got the juiciness of fruits coming from one side, you've got the Oloroso pinging through the other side with its more muted kind of spiciness and that subtle sherry note being twanged there as well. Pencil shavings overriding everything for me right now, but in the same vein, all really balanced, all really coming together to create something pretty cool. There's a nice little charring note there as well. Oh, that's gorgeous. As always, Kevin's done an absolute belter of a job over at Irish Distillers down in Middleton to put this together. And it is single pot still, which I should mention. So where the English whiskey is an English single malt, so matured on those gorgeous copper pot stills. The Italian is a Italian single malt, or Italian malt whiskey they call it. Welsh is Welsh single malt, then French single malt, then the Strathmill, which is our final one, which is the Scotch, is also a single malt. So that's on those copper pot stills. Always using malted barley, and that's what the malt part in single malt means. When it comes to pot still whiskey, which is near enough exclusive to Ireland as a production methodology, it's done on those same kind of copper pot stills, but massive, like much bigger for IDL. And you use malted and unmalted barley to create the spirit, and then that's blended together later down the line in production to create that house style of Irish whiskey, which is differentiated from all the other single malts around the world, and traditionally would be seen as a smoother, slightly sweeter whiskey as well. So hopefully you're getting that come through. I definitely am. Right. Next, we're off to Italy. Now remember, Italy, a building, as not only a whiskey producing nation, but also as a rugby team. You know, progress shows in moments. And I think if you can look at the packaging on this, that is a moment in itself, if I'm brutally honest. They're asking real questions. They're starting to punch and punch. But, you know, will they ever win it? Not for me to say. But you never know. You never know. That's the magic of sport. Something could happen. But then also complacency costs at the same time, which I think has been a hallmark of the Italian rugby team over the years. But hopefully it's something that these guys don't fall into, because as you're about to taste with this, they have done an unbelievably good job. Now, this was actually bottled in 2015. It's from the archives of GreatDrams, this. Batch number 2, if I'm honest, I didn't really want to open it because I love the bottle so much. But I figured, you know what, this is a pretty special occasion and a pretty special kind of tasting set. So why not? Let's have a go, right? So growth takes time and potential matters, which is like this. So we're tasting the direction here, and the direction of travel. And with that comes a kind of belief that it's going to be quite special later down the line. This is from the Italian whiskey brand Puni, P-U-N-I, and they call themselves the Italian malt whiskey, obviously. Yeah, I mean, look at that. It's like, to be fair, if you turn it upside down, if anyone's ever played GTA, it looks like those old Molotov cocktails you used to lob when you played more so GTA 1 and 2, I believe, when I was so inclined. Haven't played it for a long time. Anyway, on the nose, it's quite green, quite fresh, but not spirity. It has, for me, a really pronounced citrusy note going on. Quite a nice oaky note coming through as well. It's got character even for its relative youth. I believe this is between 4 and 5 years old. There were only like a few hundred bottles of this ever made. So again, like, part of this tasting was not just to lob random stuff in, but to try things that virtually no one else has tried, at least in some of these whiskies. And you guys previewing our very own English whiskey that's coming out this year. This, which was released over, well, it'll be 11 years ago now. My mind is still in 2025 and I'm writing dates and things. So hopefully it's a bit of an experience there. It has a kind of cardamom like spice note there too, like some muted spices going through. It's quite a pleasant nose though. I quite enjoy that. I think there's something quite happening there. On the palate, a bit sharper, a bit more kind of citrusy, but then when I breathed out, I breathed in, then breathed out again, I was getting a big menthol note coming through as well, so a bit minty. Now it mellows out and there's a lovely sweetness. There's that kind of malty sweetness and that barley note coming through, but relatively short finish actually. It's quite interesting, very different. But I mean, it's batch 2, isn't it? So, you know, we're still experimenting at this point. Might be a tenuous link back to the Italian national team here as well, of experimentation and always evolving and trying to do something a bit different. You could probably even link fashion to the bottle design, but we won't go all the way down that route. There's a rabbit hole to be had. But, you know, it's not for me to say too much on that one. But yeah, all good fun. It's almost like, going back to it, it's almost like a Fanta, like a fizzy orange kind of note coming through. Yeah, I really like it for the youth and the kind of experimental nature of it, and you know, the relative uniqueness of the release. I think it's pretty special and pretty cool. So again, feel free to take a break. You do not have to have every drop of every whiskey in one go, all right? I mean it. Pace yourself, okay? So, next up, we're going to hit Wales. As we all know, Wales is a powerhouse when it comes to rugby, turning chances into fuel, effectively. Chaos into fuel. So they're taking these chances, and whatever's going on, they're like, right, let's have it. And emotion runs right here. It is a very emotional team. They're really up for it and showing what they are and what all they can be on the pitch whenever they step onto that hallowed turf. And definitely never rule them out late, ever. And home support for these guys, whenever they're, well, home support, travelling support, their supporters are always absolutely on it. From the very first Land of Our Fathers song right through to the final whistle. It's a passionate bunch. But it shows that heart counts, and so does depth. So this one, Welsh single malt, I'd like to think was very similar methodology here. Lots of depth in flavour, and it has a solid backbone, much like their team. So, let's have a little go. Much sweeter on the nose, this one. Much sweeter. Wow. Big on that kind of creamy note there, like a strawberries and cream note for me coming through. Got a very inviting nose. And this is only at 40% ABV. I think it's the lowest of the entire set. As the Italian was 43, this is 40, and then we jump up to 46, I believe. 43 again, sorry, and then 48.2. Nice kind of caramel note coming through as well, like a burnt sugar note. And the Penderyn distillery itself is really cool to visit, actually. If you're ever in that part of the world, obviously in Wales, definitely check them out. The team there are wonderful. They've always been really lovely with me, and we've always had a good laugh over the years. And Stephen Davies and Rob Tregenna especially, just really lovely folk. I'm a big fan of them. They've done some cool experiments over the year. Their Merlin cream product, which is normally whipped out at Christmas, is it's glorious. But yeah, it's a great place to visit. Stunning spirit safe, a proper glass spirit safe last time I was there. Just looks the nuts, and it is a very cool like tasting bar as well. You can try loads of different stuff. They've had lots of limited editions over the years now, so you have got quite a breadth of different options, which is always useful and really cool to experience. But yeah, I've always enjoyed visiting. Actually, last time I was there, they took me to a Swansea match and got to go in the Penderyn box, which was pretty cool. Massive, by the way, massive. A few drinks obviously beforehand, bit of food, met a couple of Welsh sporting legends, and then I really felt for both Rob and Stephen, because Swansea got tonked 3-0. Wasn't the greatest performance, and they're just going, oh, don't worry lads, don't worry, all good. So my team is a very different team. I find it weird and hard to support other teams, but I was doing my best to, you know, be with them. Yeah, I did feel for them though. But it doesn't take away from the quality of the whiskey, the experience at the distillery, and how wonderful the actual people are. Oh, just the nose keeps opening up. It's even sweeter, even more vanilla, even more caramel. Lovely notes. And on the palate, super smooth, super sweet, super easy drinking. A real kind of classic style of just mellow, you're not really supposed to use the word sessionable, but easy drinking whiskey, which I think is fair to say, if I'm really honest. I think they've done an incredibly good job here. And yeah, congrats as always, but let's see how the team do as well, eh? Also, do share photos of you enjoying the set. Hopefully you are enjoying the set, watching the videos, all that kind of stuff. Tag us on Instagram and all the social media stuff. We'll repost it, and let me know which was your favorite whiskey. If you had any different notes to me, I always like hearing other people's opinions, because when I've read it, I often go back to that specific whiskey and see what I'm thinking, see if that changes my opinion in a certain way, because some people pull out flavor notes that others can't. And I spend all my days thinking about flavor profiles and flavor notes and whiskey and all this kind of stuff. But sometimes you do get a bit complacent potentially, and a bit kind of, I don't know, it's kind of diving into that first initial, like bam, bam, bam. So it's always useful to understand what other people are experiencing from the exact same product as well, which is quite cool. Right. So, bear with me a second. Right, so, by the way, I never have any issues using a glass a couple of times when it comes to tastings, because ultimately, you know, we do them in a certain order so that the flavour layers and layers and layers anyway. With the first one, the English, probably wouldn't have reused that glass because it's such a big, bold flavour profile. And the others are so gentle and mellow as you get up through them. But now we're going to hit the French one. Roseliers. There it is right there. This was bought actually in duty free in Paris a few years ago. And all the labels in French, and I was very bad at French at school, but I do understand what maître distillateur means. Master distiller. Boom. And also bottling date, so September 2021, when it was actually distilled in May 2018. So it's well, there's other dates here dating back to 24th of September 2016. Oh man. There's a lot going on. Oh no, here we go. Yeah, so that's when the apologies. That's when the actual barley was sown or planted, or however you describe that. Then it was collected back in 2017 in June, malted April 2018, and then yeah, there we go. Distillation in May, and then bottled September a few years later. But what I do like about their packaging is they give you a lot of detail. Beautiful foiling as well. Nice classic design. Very, very cool. So let's have a go, shall we? So here we go. Right, so I'm assuming for most of you it's the first time you've tried French single malt, which is totally fair. Not weirdly enough, it's the third biggest buyer and consumer of whiskey on the planet. Not many people believe me when I tell them that, but it is 100% true. but also what is quite interesting is that you don't really hear of the whiskey brands from there, even though they've been around for quite a while. There's some really cool blending houses. There's some really, actually I've got one, I did have one down here yesterday. Here we go. Big fan of that. Michel Courvreux, independent bottler over in France. But yeah, they've got a lot of different things happening. You just don't really hear of it outside the country, potentially outside the region of countries surrounding it as well. But France has a rugby team. They play on instinct, you know, on confidence, on mood. When it works, it's unstoppable. But when it clicks, it's beautiful. Much like their whiskey production. Oh yeah, power and elegance together. That's how I'd probably describe French whiskey. Oftentimes, I mean, this is a single malt, but oftentimes the blending houses like La Ferté, for example, blended malt from France, awesome, again, awesome people, awesome bottle design, but a great whiskey. Like them, they'll work with multiple different eau de vie, so spirits or new make spirits from different distilleries, and blend them together to create their product. These guys as a single malt will be doing similar, but within one distillery. So different casks, different barrel types, different spirit characters, and bringing that all together. On the nose, for me, there's a lovely kind of foam banana, like pick a mix, like penny sweets, or penny sweets when I was a kid anyway, probably £1.50 each now. A nice subtle fizz, like a lemon sherbet coming through. It's quite floral as well. Which is not normally a character I go for, but I quite like it in this one. And the palate opens up to be all about that caramel sweetness, that beauty and ease of drinking. Super mellow, super easy. Quite juicy as well. Quite a thick kind of caramel note, like a Twix, that biscuity kind of chocolate caramel note from a Twix coming through now. Really easy drinking. Love that kind of lemon sherbety spice note coming through. Tongue's all prickly with spice now as well. Kind of a medium finish. Breathe in and it kind of elevates into more elegance and more lightness and that floral note as well. Quite impressive actually. I quite enjoy that. And a nice easy drinking single malt there. And then finally, remember, you don't have to have them all in one go. I'm going to have to keep saying that probably for legal reasons. Finally, we're hitting 10-year-old Strathmill single cask single malt from GreatDrams. Only 330 bottles of this one made. This is actually a peated Speyside whiskey, which is quite a rare style of Speyside single malt Scotch whiskey. As you probably know, everything we do is limited edition, so when it sells out, we'll never do the same again. But this one, we soft launched the week before Christmas, forgot to tell anyone about it. Figured no one's really going to want to talk to me about whiskey in January, so we haven't really told too many people about it apart from our email list. But then when it gets to the back end of kind of middle of Feb onwards, we're going to be going all guns on this. This is our peated one for the first part of the year, and we're very much looking forward to it. It's very smooth, smoky peated whiskey, and like I'm with the flavour profile, much like the Scottish rugby team, it thrives on rhythm, so that confidence can change everything. So when the tempo clicks, they're hard to stop, and frankly, it's a bit like GreatDrams. When we're on a roll with awards or releasing banger after banger after banger, we're just like, yeah, let's have it. Flair always works best when belief is high, much like the Scots on the pitch during the Six Nations. So this is all about flow, energy, and a whiskey with lift. So let's have a go, shall we? So this is the only kind of smoky one within the flight. There we go. So on this one, on the nose, should be getting that brown sugar, citrusy, fruity notes coming through. Big on the kind of creme brulee note, which we actually had in one of the earlier whiskies earlier on. But that kind of creamy, burnt sugar, caramelly thing coming through in a nice kind of intertwined way. The smoke is subtle on the nose. You may not even get it. On the palate, the smoke starts to come in, or the peat starts to come in. Very low level peat. We describe it as a cuddle of peat instead of a backhander. Nice and mellow, nice and easy drinking, and yeah, absolutely superb. Should have a medium finish, touch of spice there, but that kind of peaty, fruity, sugary note carrying it through mostly. We're proud of all of our releases. I mean, personally, I probably lean more towards the English style, which we had at the beginning, but this is more of a classic Scotch style, which I love as well, but is not necessarily my go-to all the time. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Please do post any photos, questions, comments, anything really, and I'll do my best to reply as quick as I can. Any feedback greatly welcome. And here's to you getting involved, and to whichever team you're supporting through this. Hope you enjoy the Six Nations. Let's get it on.